This was the last time a Diamond League meeting was held at Crystal Palace National Sports Centre 10 years ago in 2012. I would go as far as to say that going to watch the London Grand Prix at the Crystal Palace Stadium every year from 2004 to 2012 is what got me into athletics. The place is filled with happy memories for me and thousands of others who may not otherwise have wanted to watch or take part in the best sport in the world. The athletics track is part of Crystal Palace National Sports Centre set in Crystal Palace Park. It has a purpose-built multi-sport, multi-use events and educational venue with an outdoor 400-metre athletics track and 110-metre indoor track. Opened in 1964 as the National Recreation Centre, it was the first of its kind as a grassroots to elite multi-sport and events competition venue. It includes fitness and specialist strength and conditioning gyms, competition 50-metre swimming and 10-metre diving pools. It also has dry diving training, tennis courts, indoor and outdoor football pitches and hockey facilities. It additionally boasts a large indoor event arena that is only matched by the Copper Box in Stratford in London for a public facility of this scale. It was designed to be a national centre of sporting excellence and has been used by South London athletes as a base to train locally, regionally and for major championships and the Olympics. As ever, I'm going to focus this video on the athletics side of things, but for the past decade the centre as a whole, which was constructed around the 1960s, has been falling into what has been described as a managed decline. Due to a number of reasons, the facilities are crumbling, the structure is not being replaced and is now judged unfit for major competition, and that is a great shame. So, how would it be if Crystal Palace Stadium Centre was lost and couldn't be used anymore?
That would be tragic. It won't be good news. I mean, a lot of the locals do remember having their sports day here. They do have London schools. They have the London Youth Games here. So it's not just the track. The whole area, the whole sports ground, the indoors and everything else we use for a lot of sports. So to cutting that out and not taking this massive sports complex away from South London, I think that would just be detrimental to the area.
Yeah.
Athletics and just the sports that use that facility are missing it terribly.
Yeah.
It's a centre, it's almost like a centre of excellence. And what I really enjoyed about Crystal Palace is, although I was involved in athletics, you could see every other sport quite quickly, and it was very accessible. So in the UK, Crystal Palace was the first time I saw British basketball.
Yeah.
First time I saw someone dive off the boards. This individual went on actually to go and win Olympic medals. So it brings everything in front of you, really tangible, really accessible, and then in front of you, you can see, you almost believe you can do it, and then it inspires, if you like, the next generation. By removing it, you reduce access, and removing access makes it more difficult, particularly if you have to travel 2, 3, 4 hours to access the next appropriate facility. So if I have to urge anybody to get involved in sport and athletics, I would, because it's a mecca of sports, certainly in London, and it's a place where a lot of athletes would return in a heartbeat to compete again.
Yeah. Crystal Palace has been hosting athletics in the UK for more than 50 years. 4 surrounding London boroughs all meet at the park, and they have all grown up to be reliant on the scale of facilities for training and competitions. For much of that time, it was the premier international meeting on the British calendar, attracting some of the biggest names in the UK and from around the world. Alison Felix, Usain Bolt, Haile Gebrselassie, Kenenisa Bekele and Tonique Williams-Darling have all competed here. While this is hallowed turf for many, the decline of Crystal Palace National Sports Stadium is not just a problem for those with a special memory of athletics being held there, but rather a representation of the decline of athletics in London as a whole. The problem was originally meant to be the solution. When London won the right to host the Olympics in 2012, a new stadium in Stratford was designed to replace Crystal Palace. But since 2005, the plans changed several times, and West Ham United eventually won a bidding war to claim what is now London Stadium. The London Grand Prix started being held at the London Stadium in 2013, and the venue has been used for other athletics events such as the 2017 World Championships and a revival of the World Cup in 2018. However, West Ham are now looking to go back on their original promise to maintain the legacy of athletics in the stadium, and now want to have it as their full-time venue. The stadium has not hosted a Diamond League meeting since 2019. It will be used for at least one more London Grand Prix in 2023, but the speculation is that its days for hosting athletics are numbered. The biggest issue with London Stadium has been its unsustainability and huge costs of the seating and converting from a football to an athletics stadium each time used. This cost millions of pounds per use to remove and then put back seating. It cost around £11 million per year and has since reduced to £4 million. If this sunk cost on seating was invested in Crystal Palace, then over 2 years its refurbishment could have all been but completed and created a lasting legacy for London, for an area that could be used all year round. Reports over the summer suggest that British athletics could walk away for 10 to 15 million, with the Alexander Stadium in Birmingham appearing a likely new home. Birmingham hosted what was a great Games earlier in the summer, but there is a sense among athletes and organisers that a base in London is essential for the sport to thrive in the UK and cement itself on the international stage.
Yeah, with Stratford gone, to me, it's just unfortunate that we can lose Stratford, because we built that from the ground up, and to give that away to another sport, I don't think that is that's ideal.
Olympic long jumper Jade Johnson has been another of those to speak out on the issue. We chatted recently over the phone, and this is what she said. I love the Alexander Stadium as well. I have great memories of that place, but I miss the real atmosphere and excitement of Crystal Palace. The Alexander Stadium is fantastic, but when you are putting on a huge competition, and when you are looking at the stars coming out of college, a Sha'Carri Richardson type character, and they are travelling on the circuit for the first time, they are not going to want to go to Birmingham or to Glasgow. They will want to go to London. Dina Asher-Smith told The Guardian in May, "We've got a really nice new stadium in Birmingham, which I'll be fortunate enough to try out next week. I'm very excited for that and very excited about the Commonwealth Games, but I do think that London is the centre of sport in the UK. It would be amazing to have a base and really use the London Stadium, particularly as it's the Olympic Stadium and it is where the anniversary games has been. All the other major sports have a base in London." Also this summer, Sebastian Coe told The Guardian, "I'm very clear we have to maintain and should maintain a really world-class presence for track and field in London. It would be bizarre not to. I want London to remain a stopping point for international athletics." Which brings me back to Crystal Palace. This amazing venue was left behind 10 years ago with the promise that it would no longer be needed. The thing is, even if we had a full-time athletic stadium in Stratford, athletes would still need somewhere to train. London is, after all, a big place. But those responsible put all of their eggs in one basket. They moved the London Grand Prix to Stratford, and Crystal Palace has been quietly abandoned. Back in the mid-2000s, Tottenham Hotspur Football Club bid for the Olympic Stadium with a plan to pay for a refit of Crystal Palace. It was not the legacy organisers wanted, but this solution would at least have ensured the Olympic Stadium got used and that an existing stadium did not rot away. London Stadium is a fantastic venue, but athletics does not draw the crowds for Grand Prix meetings to fill a 60,000 capacity. To be fair, no Diamond League meeting in the world does this. It tends only to be major championships when this happens. The London Grand Prix of old had such a great atmosphere because they were always a sellout in an intimate and historic stadium. It is also a fast track, with the placement of the track making it less affected by crosswinds. The layout also makes it a good place for throwing. Crystal Palace is the ideal place to stage athletics. It is served by Penge East, Penge West and Crystal Palace railway stations, with many links into London and the South East. Thanks to the improvements in the overground, it is even a simple journey from where I live in Walthamstow in the city's northeast. My own solution would be to do up Crystal Palace for the continuation of the London Grand Prix. Year to year, it would cost British athletics far less than the £3 million it takes to convert the stadium in Stratford. It would also provide a full-time training base for athletes in South London. British athletics need not hold a meeting in Stratford every summer, but it would be ideal if they were to continue to hold rights to the Stratford Stadium to hold a major championship every so often. Failing that, the Alexander Stadium successfully held the Commonwealth Games by just adding stands to the existing stadia as a pop-up facility. And I don't see any reason why that couldn't also be done at Crystal Palace. The capacity at the moment is around 14,000. With additional stands, it could easily be up to 30,000, maybe even more. So could not Crystal Palace just not just do the same? There are, as with everything, complications, and I will try now and get briefly up to speed on what some of those are and the state of Crystal Palace since 2012. In 2014, the then London Mayor Boris Johnson began a consultation into the future of the National Sports Centre. To quote the press release at the time, it called the centre underused and in poor condition. The new plans aim to unlock the future potential of the site and restore it as a first-class community asset. It goes on to say a redesigned interior would preserve the original Olympic-sized swimming pool with a modernised health and fitness suite overlooking the park. In the meantime, the stadium was used by Crystal Palace football team's ladies' side. Plans for improving a gym at the site were mothballed, and there was not the money needed to improve the required hospitality offering. The Boris Johnson plans did not get anywhere. The pools at Crystal Palace have been closed since March 2020, the same month the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, announced £1 million for regeneration of the National Sports Centre. To quote Suffolk News, the £1.02 million pledged by the Mayor will now be spent on design and development work, including specialist surveys. A proposal for the whole centre shown in 2019 would cost an estimated £50 million to bring the main hall, that is 50 or so years old, and all the pools and the stadia up to scratch. The cost to just refurb the stadia is not known, but is expected to be a small fraction of this total. It is considered to be an asset without a known future, and while the stadium does need to be improved and refurbished, it is believed it does not need to be demolished. It has most recently been used for the ITV series The Games, while the back straight Jubilee stand was used as an NHS testing centre during the pandemic. In August of last year, a petition calling for the reopening of the pools was signed by more than 40,000 in just a few weeks, while in November 2021 it was announced the National Sports Centre would be allocated money for a comprehensive renovation. Sadiq Khan is quoted as saying he appreciates the frustration. As of November 2022 though, the pools remain without water. The athletics track is being used for athletes to train, but is not being used for competitions even at a local level these days. The site cannot easily be got rid of, which means that even if it did close, it would likely sit around and become even less well maintained without anybody having the means to build on the site. A similar fate has hit Tooting Bec Stadium, while Parliament Hill Stadium is host of the much celebrated Night of the PBs. It too is at risk of closure. To get a response on what might be getting done at Crystal Palace, I sent an email to the office of Sadiq Khan. A spokesperson for the Mayor of London said, "The Mayor is committed to bringing Crystal Palace National Sports Centre safely back into full use. Further consultation on the development plans will be made public in the coming months." It ends by saying the National Sports Centre is a hugely important sporting and community facility for the capital, and that work is being undertaken to secure its future for decades to come.
Absolutely be saved. I think there needs to be a desire, certainly from the government and local authority. I think there needs to be a certainly desire from the sporting community, and I think we just need to come together and figure out a plan such that it's used in an efficient way, such that it benefits the wider community, and rightly so, it's run as an efficient business. But absolutely, it can come back to where it should be, and rightly so too.
I mean, we just need the community to come out. We need everyone, investors. We need all hands on deck for this one, to come and give it a nice big spruce up, make it a day, maybe a bank holiday next year. We all come out and just tidy the place up, bring it back to former glories, because the local community, like I said, when you go around and you talk to people, they do know Crystal Palace. Get everyone involved, get investors involved, and mainly host the Grand Prix here or major championships, because I know if you put the Diamond League here, it will be sold out within a flash. So, because people like coming down here, you got the grass, you can sit, you got the parade, you can stand over there and watch, and it will be sold out, because when Diamond League used to be here, it was sold out and there was more people outside. It was a good venue, good vibes always. So I hope we can save it, and I wish we save it. Do you know what I mean? I don't want it to go, because it would be sad times losing this to athletics. Or, we want to make sure we have this at least, but we definitely need to spruce it up first.
Yeah.
Move on.
Sadiq Khan has suggested that he could look to bring the Olympic Games back to London as early as 2036. It remains to be seen where this could be hosted within London, but there is no denying that the best way to get one's own facilities up to scratch is to invite the whole world to come and see them. Should British athletics bid for a potential European Championship or Commonwealth Games, then there are facilities at Crystal Palace in need of transformation that could really benefit. Originally, that's where the video was going to end, on a hopeful note that there is some future for Crystal Palace, and all it needs is people to come together and to put in a shift and to do whatever's needed to get this stadium going again. When I started filming this video in July, that was the case, but it is, by the fact that I'm wearing a hat, you can see it's now November. And things have changed, and unfortunately not for the better. A bad period for Crystal Palace began with the announcement that Birmingham is going to be awarded the European Championships in 2026. That's great news for athletics in the UK and great news for Birmingham, although it was potentially an opportunity to do something about Crystal Palace that has now been missed. In the meantime, there was some sad news on November the 18th that Crystal Palace National Sports Centre was completely closed. This was only for a short period, however, it was seen that the pillars supporting floodlights at the stadium were unsafe, and the Greater London Authority and Bromley Council stepped in to close the park. The centre is now partially reopened, however there is hoarding around the floodlights to stop them from posing any kind of safety threat. Meanwhile, during a question time with the Mayor of London, London Assembly member Peter Fortune put forward concerns about Crystal Palace, and then later tweeted to say that funding has been secured but there are no solid timelines. So as we stand, we have a sad state of affairs where the lodge and conference facilities have been closed, the stadium cafe and bar have been closed, as have the stadium west stand and the indoor five-a-side pitch, both for health and safety reasons. The 50-metre pool and 10-metre diving pool are currently drained, and now the stadium's floodlighting will have to be removed. More than ever, the future of this historic venue is at risk, and athletics' place in London in general is looking increasingly uncertain. There is now a real risk that it could all soon be lost, and the next generation will not grow up as lucky as I did, with a track to train on and a stadium to watch some of the best athletes in the world. Public feeling is crucial, and we are more likely to save Crystal Palace Sports Centre if people lobby for the local powers for its survival. A petition has now started calling on the Greater London Authority to urgently increase and accelerate investment in the National Sports Centre. At the time of writing, it had 1,500 signatures. I would encourage you to sign this petition. I would also encourage you to follow Crystal Palace Sports Centre on Twitter. These guys are putting forward all the latest news about the situation and will flag anything that happens and any ways you can also get involved. I really hope that when I next cover Crystal Palace I have better news to share, because as we stand, we look set to lose one of the things that makes London and athletics great.